Hey, it's John here with the AI Institute, and I'm here with Em, and we're going to be talking about a recent project with a client in the legal
Yeah,
industry. Tell me about the project, what's the need or frustration you're addressing, and what's journey and the end result.
Oops, sorry, could you repeat the last bit? I think it cut out.
And end result. Yeah, so the frustration you were addressing
Yeah,
with the client and what they wanted to achieve, and then what you've been able to do, and then end
yeah, absolutely. So I think the initial frustration was really that a lot of the time, and this happens with a lot of businesses, I think, not just law firms, but you'll often have one staff member who kind of becomes the go-to person. And everyone who works there, particularly new staff when they're onboarding, or even older staff whenever they've got questions or anything like that, they're going to always go to that one person who's personable, they know them, and they know that person knows the information they need. So they'll go to ask about maybe it's leave entitlements, maybe it's payroll questions, could be anything like any of the kind of different
1 minute.
SOPs.
Got it. Got
Yeah.
it.
And they'll go in and they'll keep asking that person. And we want, obviously, when you hire someone for a specific set of skills and a specific job, you want them kind of focused in and just doing the thing that they're best at. And that's what we want for everyone in the business. So in this case, it was like almost building an AI twin, I suppose, of that staff member that everyone used to go to for assistance, and then creating an additional staff member, an AI staff member, if you will, that everyone at the firm can have access to simultaneously and have their own kind of conversations and almost they're in relationship with. And they can have their own little chats and ask all their questions directly there. They don't need to get up and go to someone's office. They don't need to call anyone on Zoom or Teams. They're able to just, yeah, go straight to this custom GPT that we had built and ask all sorts of questions about the leave entitlements and things. And obviously, we've put in data protection and different parameters and limitations to ensure it's guiding them correctly. But in this case, the GPT has very much become a beloved staff member, I think, at this firm, and has already become heavily involved in a lot of different conversations with all the different staff members. It can manage onboarding, everything. It's brilliant.
Just incredible. I really just an incredible resource for the company in terms of just storing that company knowledge all in one place. And one of the objections people say, oh, it'll just hallucinate. It will tell them
Yeah.
and stuff. But can you kind of talk without going into the tech, but like how you sort of um, stop that from happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing is using the instructions and the kind of configuration for the actual custom GPT to set up different parameters, different limitations,
Mm.
different boundaries, I suppose. And it really is
It's not
almost when you're,
crawling over the internet and Reddit for access. It's
yeah.
using the information. Yeah.
Exactly. We're building a knowledge base and we're saying this is your base of information. These are the different URLs or kind of browsing activities that you can pursue, and it can be in response to these questions. This is how you answer it. We also give it disclaimers as well. So if it doesn't have a confidence level of like 95% in any given answer, it will give a little disclaimer as well to any staff member. And if it's not over 90%, it won't answer at all, and it will refer them to someone else, or it will provide a
Mm.
link or something like that. So we do provide all sorts of that kind of assistance. But the other way is actually almost like a self-troubleshooting method. I always say you can absolutely use AI to fix AI. So to prevent any kind of hallucinating or inventing of facts or anything like that, this particular custom GPT is actually able to, if someone says that doesn't sound right or anything in that initial training phase, it will actually adapt that and bring it in and start looking at why that occurred, and it has to report on itself into a spreadsheet basically. So it is able to provide its own tracking. It's also able to actually troubleshoot and make corrections to its own build. So we have put in a few different features, and I call them like naughty GPT loops, where GPT is able to self-correct. So that's very helpful.
Amazing. Amazing. And I'm not sure if you'd have this on hand, but you know roughly how many queries are going into it per day?
Yeah,
Like,
so this is definitely in like initial training phase almost in its rollout. So I would call it maybe stage 1 to 2 of the GPT's onboarding at the firm. But I think already there was in the first day there was 8 different staff members having conversations with the GPT, and all
mm,
conversations were must have been beyond 5 questions because that was what it would have taken to register for that logging. And I believe the second day it doubled, so it seems to kind of be rapidly expanding and becoming more and more useful because it is at the point where at least the staff member who was the go-to and whose time we were trying desperately to protect
Mm,
reported back that they are being, I suppose, approached a lot less, and they're able to actually enjoy their staff members and their colleagues now, as opposed to getting bamboozled with questions all the time about leave entitlements.
I love that. We've all seen the studies about, when you get a break in concentration, how long it takes to get that concentration back. So for that person, having that bandwidth back to
Yeah.
focus is just incredible. And you created this now for three staff member roles already?
Yeah,
Just
so
in,
this is, yeah, one of three. So we're creating a team of custom GPTs in this case. Um,
yeah.
this is obviously like our knowledge base, our SOPs, our kind of internal assistance for the
Mm,
staff. And I've got another one that assists with their email writing. And because it is a law firm, of course, terms and conditions, contractual, kind of any kind of contractual writing or anything along those lines. So it can actually assist with more of that client-facing stuff. Of course, with a human in the loop, I always recommend having a human in the loop. So in this case, of course, the human, instead of writing it all from scratch, will just be reviewing it before sending
mm,
to clients. So that's very exciting. And that's hopefully going to save about 2 to 3 hours just in the initial phase with any given client. And then it should be able to save another hour or two at each kind of point with the clients along the way. So that's a brilliant amount of time saving. Um,
100 hours per year when you add it all up, which goes straight to the bottom line. And it's really becoming an AI-powered business. And what are they, there's some future projects they're thinking about now?
Yeah, so it's really exciting. I think whenever you get started, people initially look at AI like a project, but really it's much more of this kind of it's a change in mindset. You're bringing in these frameworks, and you're going to be constantly probably expanding on them. I mean, the bottom line is we know from the data that most people are spending approximately they say 80% of any given week on tasks that are actually not the task they were hired to do. They're spending time managing work and doing the admin and things. So they're looking at all different areas of the admin at the moment. So the next stop was emails. And a big one there is they've actually got a big company-wide email, like an info email address, as most companies do. Some companies might have support addresses, anything like that, where email triaging is absolutely a necessity. The amount of time you lose to email triaging with those is insane. So being able to set it up to kind of automatically categorize itself, and then automatically send a copy to the appropriate person and
Mm,
suggest responses for those people as well. So save everyone time at every point, basically. That's the next step. So we're currently using Power Automate to set up a workflow that will do that. We can use email rules for these things, but in this case, it was quite a complex setup. So Power Automate was the way to go. And that
mm.
also allowed us to have the automated drafting element as well.
Just incredible. And do you know roughly how many hours per day someone or multiple people spending on the email process that will now be saved?
Yeah, so on average, I think there was, in this case, there was 6 or 7 people from my memory that were working out of this main email inbox. So having to constantly triage their own emails because there was no one person dedicated to that. But they were saying that was about an hour a day of each of those people's time. So on average, that's going to work out then at a full work day across all of those people when you add it up per day. So that's
Hey,
frightening. So
that's
that's,
amazing. That's like
yeah.
a full-time person's wage. Just yeah, in Australia is not cheap. Well, that's incredible. Well, I just, amazing work. Absolutely incredible the difference you're making to that company and what can it do with all that time, that excess capacity in terms of growth.
Exactly. They'll
Uh,
be able to take on more clients, have more time for themselves, hopefully, take less work home with them. All sorts
I
of
really
things.
think, sometimes founders are like, oh, how could I even think about, aggressively marketing for more clients? I'm stressed out as it is. So what you're giving them is that free space, that free time. You know what? We can grow, we can expand,
Yeah. It
and it doesn't
definitely
need to
makes
ruin my
makes
life.
it more scalable these days. I think every business, gets to that point where they're at capacity and they think, okay, we can't scale beyond this. This is good, this is fine. But the bottom
Mm,
line is businesses who are adapting and are bringing AI in and helping to kind of automate some of those, I always say the boring processes or boring tasks, those are the ones you want to automate. so everyone can focus on what they're best at. It means that you've got more time for a law firm, more time to spend with clients, which is, connecting humans more and bringing more of that interpersonal side back into law, which I desperately think we need to see more of. So that's brilliant.
Mm,
And then the other side of it is, of course, you can take on more clients. You can actually scale that business with the same amount of staff members. And hopefully
mm.
happier staff members because they're doing the job they were hired for instead of triaging
Uh,
emails and admin and things like that.
exactly. Well done.
Thank
Amazing
you.
work. And yeah, I can't wait to get the next update.
Yeah, I look forward to giving it to you. Thanks, John.